They said Christmas in Hollow Pines was magical, full of joy and laughter. But tonight, you'll discover a darker truth. On this particular Christmas Eve, the snow would not be white, the bells would not bring comfort, and one man would realize that the legends whispered in hushed tones were not stories, they were warnings. Michael had returned to Hollow Pines expecting warmth and nostalgia, but instead he was greeted by an eerie silence that pressed against his chest like icy fingers. The streets were blanketed in snow, yet the cold carried whispers, soft, deliberate, carrying secrets no living person should hear. Every house seemed asleep, every window dark, but Michael felt eyes on him, watching, judging, waiting. As he passed the abandoned bakery, scattered flour revealed footprints far too large for any child, deliberate in their path as if guiding him somewhere, or perhaps trapping him. In the center lay a bloodied stocking containing twisted remnants of toys and a note that read, "Those who forget the sins of the past will pay tonight." Panic clawed at his chest as unnatural bells chimed, echoing like the heartbeat of a monstrous entity. Michael ran toward the town square, only to find the streets stretching endlessly, snow piling higher with each step, slowing him as though the town itself was conspiring against him. The Christmas tree in the square loomed grotesquely in the pale moonlight, ornaments flickering like eyes of unseen watchers. Beneath it, a red sack bulged unnaturally. He approached cautiously. Inside, every gift reflected the town's darkest secrets. Burnt letters, broken dolls, notes revealing deeds no one else knew. Then he heard it. A shadow emerged from the forest's edge, dragging chains that clinked with metallic menace. Its eyes glowed crimson, a jagged smile barely visible beneath a tattered hood, and a voice hissed, "Do you remember the lies you told?" Michael's legs froze, snow clinging to him as if holding him in place. Behind him, hollow laughter grew, echoing through empty streets, each note a reminder that escape was impossible. He ran, twisted through alleyways, but every street appeared identical, every house abandoned. The forest seemed impossibly close, drawing him toward the shadow. Whispers turned into voices, chanting the sins of everyone in Hollow Pines, mixing truth with malice, building a crescendo of terror. Michael stumbled back into the square, realizing the town itself had become a labyrinth designed to break hope and sanity. The shadow advanced, and in the dim glow of the Christmas lights, faces appeared. Neighbors, childhood friends, twisted into masks of horror, eyes hollow, mouths frozen in silent screams. They reached for him, whispers merging into a roar, and Michael understood that the legend was no mere tale. Krampus Santa had returned, and Hollow Pines demanded its due. He sprinted desperately, heart pounding, snow biting his shoes, chains rattling closer, each link a heartbeat of doom. He tried to scream, but the wind stole his voice, leaving only the laughter of a being that thrived on fear. The night stretched endlessly, snow falling heavier, each flake a silent witness to the horrors being rewritten under the guise of Christmas cheer. Michael realized too late that this was no accident, no coincidence. He had been chosen, as everyone eventually was, and Hollow Pines would claim him, just as it had claimed so many before. The bells tolled midnight again, each chime echoing through the empty town, confirming that the holiday had turned into a curse. And as the red glow of the shadow consumed the square, Michael understood the truth whispered for generations. Some Christmases are not for joy. They are for paying old debts, for facing horrors beyond imagination, and for realizing that some legends are real, hungering, and eternal. Michael's lungs burned as he sprinted through the snow-covered streets of Hollow Pines, the shadows of twisted figures flickering at the edge of his vision. Each step seemed heavier than the last, the icy ground trying to hold him, to trap him. The laughter of the entity, the cursed Krampus Santa, echoed through the empty alleys, merging with the howling wind into a horrifying symphony. He turned a corner and froze. The town square, where the Christmas tree once stood tall and festive, was now a grotesque scene. The ornaments hung like broken eyes, dripping red sap instead of glitter, and the red sack from before had grown monstrous, pulsating as if alive. Michael could hear whispers crawling from within it, voices speaking in tones that were almost human, yet twisted and alien, each syllable digging into his mind like shards of ice. He tried to scream, but his voice was swallowed by the oppressive night. Snow swirled around him, carrying the faint smell of burnt pine and iron, the unmistakable scent of blood. Every street he ran down seemed to loop back on itself, the town a maze designed not for escape, but for torment. And then he saw them, the figures emerging from the snow, not walking but sliding, gliding over the icy streets with impossible speed. Familiar faces from his past stared at him, their expressions frozen in pain and malice. The neighbor he had once admired, the childhood friend he had wronged, even his own reflection in the shop windows, twisted into something monstrous. They reached for him, but as their hands neared, they dissolved into shadow, leaving only a lingering chill. Michael's mind screamed for reason. How could this be happening? The legend had always seemed like a story, a myth told to scare children into obedience. Yet here, under the cold glow of the Christmas lights, the legend was alive, tangible, and it hungered. The shadow from the forest, Krampus Santa, now loomed closer, dragging chains that rang like bones snapping with each step. Its eyes glowed brighter, casting red light across the snow, revealing the horrors hidden in plain sight. Frozen animals, broken ornaments, and glimpses of townsfolk suspended in ice mid-action, their faces screaming silently. Michael ducked behind a collapsed fence, gasping for air, trying to steady his shaking hands. In the snow, he noticed footprints, not his own, but deep, jagged, as if the earth itself had been scarred by some monstrous weight. He realized that running would accomplish nothing. The town had chosen its prey, and tonight, he was the target. Every lie, every selfish act he had committed in Hollow Pine's past seemed to echo around him. The whispers grew louder, becoming accusations, dragging memories from the corners of his mind that he had tried to bury. You cheated him. You lied to her. You thought no one noticed. The snow around him began to stain pink, then deep crimson, as though the town itself was bleeding in rhythm with his pounding heart. Desperate, Michael stumbled toward the forest edge, thinking perhaps the shadows would not follow beyond the tree line. But the forest had grown, twisted, the trees bent like skeletal hands reaching for the sky. The moon was blocked by thick, swirling clouds, plunging him into near darkness. Every step forward was met with resistance. The snow thickened unnaturally, each movement slowed, as if time itself had warped. He could hear the laughter now, not just of the shadow, but of the town itself, voices echoing from every street and alley. It was alive, sentient, and it fed on fear. Suddenly, a light flickered in the distance, weak and wavering. Michael sprinted toward it, hoping for salvation, for someone, anyone to save him. The light came from an old church, its doors partially open, revealing a faint glow from within. Perhaps sanctuary waited inside, perhaps a brief respite from the nightmare. He pushed the doors open, snow blowing in behind him, and the warmth hit him, real and comforting, a stark contrast to the horror outside. For a moment, hope flickered, but the church was empty. Pews stood untouched, candles melted down to stubs, and at the altar lay a red sack, pulsing, breathing, waiting. And then he saw it. Reflected in the stained glass windows was the figure of Krampus Santa, not outside, but inside, looming behind him, taller than any human, with eyes glowing like coals, chains dragging across the wooden floor. The bells had followed him, each chime a countdown. Michael's heart raced as he realized the trap was complete. The church, the town, every structure had been a lure, a stage set for his punishment. And remember, in Hollow Pines, no secret stays hidden, and no one ever truly leaves. Would you be next?